Getting rid of things can be tough. If there's too much to sort through, it can also be overwhelming. And sometimes we struggle because there's sentimental value. The treasures in your great-grandmother's china cabinet aren't just stuff. So Amy, before we get into this, why can this be a sore subject for many families? Let's talk about the reasons for purging our things in the first place.
Well, I have two examples in my head. The woman that didn't care what her kids did with their stuff, so she didn't worry about it, and she had stuff everywhere, and it was a real burden for the families. And then the other person that took care, and it was so easy for the family. Everything was labeled and documented, and so there's a burden that you put on someone if you don't kind of go through the stuff. But the other thing I think about is everything in that house has memories, has feelings, has emotions. So if you step back from, the need to declutter, is to really remember and take the time to say, Mom, what is this? My mother had matchbooks from all over the world.
Fun.
Oh,
Fun.
A big jar, lots of matchbooks. And we took the time to talk to her. Well, tell us when you went to Mexico and tell us when you went to Jamaica. So you step back and take the time. And reminiscence is a natural stage of this time of year, the time of life. So take that time, see what emotions are attached to the things, and then start getting rid of things.
And that's why she collected those, because she wanted to reminisce about the places she visited.
That's right.
And so that's one of the healthiest things that people can do, is kind of process and life review. And then it's easier to let things go. And if they're kind of past the time of making decisions on things, and maybe you do take care of it later. But I run into a lot of seniors that will say, oh, I don't care, my sons are going to take care of that. And I think, oh dear, do your sons know that? And will your sons be talking to each other after the fact? Because people can get so overwhelmed by dealing with their parents' stuff, and then a lot of times it causes them to go home and purge at their house, because they'll say, I'm not going to do that to my kids. And I think too, we're not going to be here to defend ourselves, and our kids are going to be talking about us, and so I want to have things in order so that they're thinking about how sweet Mom was instead of why did she keep all this stuff.
I take a different approach, and you and I have battled on this many times. I don't think it's just stuff. It's your identity. It's who you were. That chair isn't just a chair. That's where your husband sat or your wife sat. That recipe box, it's not just recipes, it's how you fed your family. And so I actually don't like that we consider it just stuff. And I was one of those kids that got to go through all of the stuff, and I loved it. My grandfather saved every check he had ever written for God knows how many years. I mean, from 1910 forward. And I loved getting to go and look at all these canceled checks, and you find out some family secrets, like some that you never want to tell. So I enjoy that part of it, and I wish that more kids would embrace that instead of devaluing it.
Yeah.
I think you have two aspects going on here. You have the caregiver or the children, and then you have the person. So that you're coming from two different perspectives and all that. So for the person, it's not just stuff. It's meaning, it's memories, and then sometimes really it's control is how they're using that. For the children and all that, it may just be stuff that they know that they're going to have to declutter. But they also need to, inside of that stuff, recognize where important papers are, have discussions and all that to know where the things they need before crises are.
Yeah, and sometimes it's a professional that's helping you downsize, and you're processing with them, and they can help to make that happen too.